Week 7 is in the books. That means that all the Sunday games is done with. And within saying that, here we go in 10 minutes or less, the recap that's needed from my angle, my perspective. Anyway, here we go. Skip that. Bears and Raiders. We have Tyler Baguette, Tyler Baguette, Tyler. Look, I was like, I don't know, but his family is going to call him all day the way that he kept on scoring and helping the team get a whole bunch of touchdowns. Look, I don't know what got into the Bears today, but they found a franchise quarterback. Maybe, probably. We'll see. But him, Dante Foreman, that defense would basically make the Raiders who we sort of thought the Raiders was. Not the 3-3 record that they've been. Nah. They've been some hot garbage and just been sort of getting their way through games. Look, Davante Adams couldn't catch the ball. I was like, even though he was like, I need the ball, didn't happen. I was like, Brian Hoyer just looked old out there. And that was pretty much it. I was like, other than Crosby, I don't know what else is good about the damn Raiders. But yeah, the Bears take this game this Sunday. Lions and Ravens. This talk about not a game at all. Not a game. Nope. Was the matchup of the week for it could have been one of the spectacular games, but it wasn't. Not at all. I think it's more about the Ravens than it is the Lions. I think the Lions will be fine, especially in the NFC. The Ravens had to get their S together, and they actually did. The Lamar Jackson was throwing the ball all over the lot. They actually was catching the ball, and the defense is a reckoning. I was like, there ain't really much to say because this game wasn't that close to even talk about for that long. Ravens hate the game. Patriots and Bills. So I thought that this wasn't going to happen just because the Patriots been looking like hard doo-doo water for a while. But apparently they was able to go toe-to-toe with the Bills. And to be honest, they were really busting the Bills for quite a while until the Bills got their stuff together. And by that, that's a little bit of a barely. If it wasn't for Diggs, I don't actually know what this team would really do well on offense. Don't get me wrong, I was like Cooks. I was like they actually involved him in the game a while back. But it really just they passed the ball around. Allen did pass the ball around a lot. But they still also sometimes don't get all their people involved a lot at the same time. It's really weird. It seems like it's like sometimes I'm like, man, Josh Allen's doing a lot, and then sometimes I'm like, what are you talking about? He got all these players with Knox and Kincaid and Davis, and so I'm like. And the defense, I think, is sort of still hurting over some of the injuries. But the fact that the Patriots was able to, like, Mac Jones was actually throwing in the windows. He was actually throwing to his receiver. Like, he was actually throwing to his, Bourne and Hunter Henry and stuff, I was like, Mac did probably the best game Mac Jones had all year. And basically, they got the win over the Bills, who tried to come back, but didn't get able to. Buccaneers and Falcons. I don't know what to make of this game. I was like, in some way, I feel like Mayfield sort of coming back down to earth. The defense is still doing what it needs to do and holding teams to low scores, but the offense just hasn't been able to get it going for the Buccaneers. They haven't been able to run the ball worth a damn. Mike Evans is like, he started off hot and then he just sort of been like, but they had so many chances to win this game with the Falcons because the Falcons just kept giving them shots. This is a game that shouldn't have been as close as it actually was, but with like the touchback for Ritter, I was like they missed a couple more times. I was like they fumbled like several more times to where it's like the Buccaneers had a chance to win, but at the same time the Falcons could blow their doors off and didn't. But the Falcons got this here win because basically Ritter did just enough to hold on to whatever that it is of people screaming for a job. To me, I'm like, this is sort of his second year. Like, let's calm it down. All right, Giants and Commanders. I told you, my boy T-Mobile was basically gonna come out here. And you've seen for 2 weeks now, he basically is out here playing in a way that's like, why did we play Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones gonna get his job back, but at the same time, I feel like the way that he's giving all these receivers opportunities to basically showcase himself, that they're just not some garbage. I mean, not that I'm saying like they garbage, because they're not. They're professional receivers, but I'm saying that the way that it was looking like they was, when in reality they really just a whole bunch of guys that ain't had a chance to showcase any of their talents. They haven't been able to, and I feel like Tyrod is sort of letting them do that. He's giving the offense some juice. Hell, he's giving the defense some juice. They're over here, taking on the world basically with a non-pass rushing unit that was able to rush the passer and a bunch of young DBs in the back. And I was like, also too, he basically was able to negate most of the this fronted, Washington line, and get the ball to his receivers and down deep. And they don't have good DBs in Washington like that. So Dollarod was able to take this game. They didn't put it on monstrous, but you could tell when he played, you could tell it's a different team than what was at the first beginning of this year. Browns and Colts. This game was pretty much a back and forth event of just score after score after score, but also pretty good defensive play at the same time. I was like, the DBs for Indianapolis were playing pretty well, even though they at the end of the game, I guess they were playing too well for how it went. Also, Myles Garrett was pretty much gave Cleveland the win here, because that's all he was doing. He basically was just changing the momentum of the game, because it's not, other than Ford, there wasn't really nothing going on offense, to be honest. That's really been the only bright spot with Deshaun going down. He's sort of there. He's not Walker, but Walker having to come in and sort of steady the game and whatnot while they play. But yeah, this is a game technically that, and this is like how the Bucs should have beat the Falcons. I sort of feel like the Colts should have beat the Browns here, but that's how good that defense was, along with some other things. Speaking of one-man wrecking crew helping his team basically get the win, the Rams versus the Steelers, and that's really all it was. It was just T.J. Watt and what that defense does to everybody that's playing offense. Don't get me wrong, it was like Stafford and Coop and Puka was able to go up and down the field on them, but they just wasn't able to get the points needed. While the Steelers, on the other hand, basically had Pickett and Pickens doing just enough to get their team enough points, while the defense held them on the other end, while also giving them enough points. It's like, basically, that's how this team's win. This team is just like, hey, if y'all just don't throw picks and give the other team a chance, we'll score. That's sort of how it's been with the Steelers. And T.J. Watt sealed that basically with an interception to give them the win over the Rams. Now, Cardinals, Seahawks. This is another game where basically the Cardinals had it close until it wasn't. I was like, Dobbs still out here running the ball like a beast. But this is probably like one of the poor performances I've seen of like him and his whole thing. They just couldn't really pass at all. There wasn't really, it was just really just bad. While on the other side, and Jigba was basically catching everything that Gino was throwing. And speaking of that, Bobo on the other side was also catching nothing. And I was like, who are these guys? Well, one of them was the first round pick, so it's like, oh, I kind of know him. And the other one is like, who is that guy? And they basically taking the reps that DK Metcalf wasn't there to take away, and they both shined basically and came up big in this whole event. Yeah. Plus, of course, with Kenneth Walker also there as well. But Gino did his thing, and they basically just destroyed the Cardinals basically by the end. Don't get me wrong, the Cardinals had a couple chances here and there, but a missed field goal, and they just couldn't get close anymore after that. And that sort of ruined their chances. Chargers, Chiefs. One of them games that was close, and then by the time you looked at it at the end, it wasn't at all. Travis Kelce had himself a field day, and I mean that not just with stats, but also he was wide open on a lot of his catches, where it was just like, Why would you not cover him out of all the damn people on Kansas City? They don't like. Don't get me wrong. They're more and Rice, and they got Hardman back, and Van and Scandling, and they got some alright pieces. But Travis Kelce, the main guy, and none of y'all want to be like, yo, we gonna make sure that that's the guy we always make sure we got. Nope, not at all. And the defense, the way they've been playing, you can't just be letting them run rush out on offense, especially when they don't have the same type of weapons they usually do. Because guess what? That defense is going to pretty much have everything on lock. And that's what they did. And that's why they got the win, basically, against the Charter that just keep on chartering themselves. We got to find a better verb to use against them. Staley in them, Brennan in them. I was like, we'll figure it out. But they've been doing this for a hell of a long time that you probably can't even stick it on. You can't stick on the coach, even though yeah. All right, and then Packers and Broncos get another win to basically show like, hey, our we haven't been that bad, right? I like Russell Wilson sort of got back into a little bit of like his game, throwing it deep, getting I think this really says more about the Packers because the way we see the talent on the offense and way we see the players they have on defense, they should be a lot better than this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the defense. I feel like if you're able to hold a team underneath, like a good 20-something mile points, I feel like you're doing an all right job. I was like, it's the offense that you expect, to be doing a lot better than what they are. I think I like Jordan Love is still looking a little bit rocky. I was like throwing interceptions that he probably shouldn't. Cause I was like where it just seemed like it's too careless. Not where it's like, oh, I'm giving my man like a chance, like a 50-50 ball, or it's like, like your dude been hot and and it's like not interceptions like that. It's interceptions where it's like, what was you doing? Why? What would you looking at? That would even like, like my man got a step and I'm gonna throw him or something. It wasn't even nothing like that. It was just like, that's the read you went to. There was other, I was like, like take your check downs, stuff like that. Use your athleticism a little bit more. If you ain't too sure about that throw, that's sort of where we go with that one. But anyway, like Broncos was able to get the win, just so that we won't talk about them a little bit. And last but not least, Dolphins, Eagles. I was like, I have more about this game in a different video, but Eagles was able to get the victory. They basically overwhelmed the Dolphins with, being like physical or something like that. That's sort of their mantra where they, both lines on each side of the ball kind of just dominates each team. But it was a closer game than what it, I was like, it was basically a one-score game. They was tit for tat on touchdowns. It just wasn't what we think of like offense to offense, offense, offense. It was really offense, defense, offense, defense. But it was really a defensive game throughout. But the Eagle basically just killed it with time of possession and basically took over the game that way and basically got the win. Anyway, that was the recap of the Sunday games in 10 minutes and fail. Less. Yeah. We'll try again next time. If you like this video, you'd like to recap, I appreciate it. Thanks. If not, hey, maybe next time. But until then, see you next Sunday.